and they walked all out and left.
Mm.
So I'm telling you, when people look at this past their political beliefs or past their desire for convenience, and they look at this strictly from a human viewpoint, it stops being clinical and it starts being heartbreaking.
Right.
Now, we've got to take our break here. This is our last break of the evening. When we come back,
we've got a lot to go.
That's right. We're going to talk about the founder of Planned Parenthood, and you're going to be shocked. Stay with us. This is the DELOACH Approach on WNLMradio.com and on Spreaker.com. Stay with us.
I was born in Austria, and I lived there 7 years under Hitler's brutal regime. And after World War II, 3 years under Soviet communist occupation. In 1938, the media reported that Hitler rolled into Austria with tanks and guns and took us over. Not true at all. The Austrian people elected Hitler by 98% of the vote by means of the ballot box. Now, you might ask, how could a Christian nation, almost 100% Catholic, to elect a monster like Hitler? The truth is, at the beginning, Hitler didn't look like or talk like a monster at all. He talked like an American politician. We also had gun registration. Oh, the Austrian people they all had guns. But the government said the guns are very dangerous. Children are playing with guns. Hunting accidents happen. And we really have to have total control, safety. And we had criminals again. And the only way that we can trace the criminal was by the serial number of the gun. So we dutifully went to the police station and we registered our guns. Not long after, they said, no, it didn't help. The only way that we don't have accidents and crimes, you bring the guns to the police station and then we don't have any crimes anymore and any accidents. And if you don't do that, capital punishment. So that's what we did. So dictatorship didn't happen overnight. It took 5 years, gradually, little by little, to escalate up to a dictatorship. When the people fear the government, that's tyranny. But when the government fears the people, that's you. That's liberty. Keep your guns. Keep your guns and buy more guns.
Hey guys, it's Mike the Lionheart Ryan here. Did you know that the odds of your child growing up with autism are now 1 in 68? Please help support the fight against autism by going to talkforautism.com and donate today. All proceeds will go to the National Autism Association. Talk for Autism, until every piece is found.
Hi, this is Nick and Adam from That Radio Show. It's been said that we have the most unpredictable show on the web. Nick, would you agree?
Well, no, Adam. First we talk about headlines, then we go to sex, then to politics, and finally about an idiot crossing the road with a chicken on his head.
Come listen to That Radio Show at 11 p.m., 10 p.m. Central.
Unscripted, uncut, and always uncensored.
Talk radio will never be the same.
Welcome back. You're listening to the DELOACH Approach right here on WNLMradio.com, Spreaker.com, and lots of other places. We're really glad you're here. We've been talking the last segment about Planned Parenthood. We've got some other things to talk about, and I'll tell you, we've got reams of information here on this organization and the political party that supports them, and interestingly enough, the organization that supports the political party.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna talk more about that next week. This is a huge story, folks. It really is a huge story. But we're going to pick up where we left off. There are some black ministers that have gotten involved in this story, and I find this very, very interesting because these black ministers have demanded that they remove the bust of racist Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger from the National Portrait Gallery, which is in the Smithsonian Institute.
That's right.
And this gallery also has information, busts, photos of Martin Luther King and
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And these black ministers have gotten involved. There's a conflict between this national group of black ministers and the Smithsonian Institute's National Portrait Gallery, which is heating up because of the pastor's call for removal of a bust and all images of Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger, because they say she is a known racist and eugenicist, and they want her removed from the Smithsonian.
That's right.
Tell us more about this, Lisa.
Well, these ministers, led by their president, Bishop E.W. Jackson, who is a Marine Corps veteran and retired attorney, a graduate of Harvard Law School, and a senior fellow from the Family Research Council, sent a letter last week to Kim Saget, the director of the NPG, the National Portrait Gallery, asking for the removal of Sanger's likeness from all National Portrait Gallery exhibits. And the letter stated, perhaps the gallery is unaware that Ms. Sanger supported black eugenics, a racist attitude toward black and other minority babies, an elitist attitude toward those she regarded as feeble-minded. Speaking at rallies of the Ku Klux Klan women and communications with Hitler sympathizers, also the notorious Negro Project, which sought to limit, if not eliminate, black births, was her brainchild. Despite those well-documented facts of history, her bust sits proudly in your gallery as a hero of justice. The obvious incongruity is staggering. Perhaps your institution is a victim of propaganda advanced by those who support abortion. Nevertheless, a prestigious institution like the National Portrait Gallery should have higher standards and subject its honorees to higher scrutiny. Like Hitler, Sanger advocated eugenics, the extermination of people she deemed undesirables. Finding that the American people rejected that idea, she then switched to birth control as a way of controlling the population growth of black people and others. In an interview with Breitbart News, Jackson said his group received a response from the NPG, which referred to Sanger as a person who struggled for justice because she tried to make birth control and reproductive freedom available to poor women. We responded back that this was not Sanger's motivation, Jackson asserts. Her motivation was stopping people whom she considered defective from having what she called defective children. She thought that black people needed to be stopped from propagating and growing their population, and other people she called feeble-minded. He adds, and the analogy I drew is that that's like saying Hitler might have been controversial, but at least he helped population control. Jackson said his organization next plans on ground action. We're not happy at all with the response we've received, he states. We consider it disrespectful and not serious. We're meeting with a number of black pro-life organizations and others to plan our next step. We're going to the National Portrait Gallery, he explains, adding, we have a petition signed by over 9,000 people at this time. We'll present the petition to the gallery and personally demand that they remove Margaret Sanger's bust and all images of her from the Struggle for Justice exhibit, which includes, by the way, Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. Jackson said the fact Sanger is held in high esteem is outrageous. We will not rest until it's taken down, he asserts. We want to make sure that everybody in America knows who Margaret Sanger actually was. We think that will put Planned Parenthood and what they do in the proper perspective, and I hope this will be one more nail in the coffin of Planned Parenthood. Asked by Breitbart News how President Obama could be supportive of Planned Parenthood, founded by a racist, when he and his administration seem to cite racism continuously as the cause of much of what is wrong with this country, Jackson said, "Racism is only an evil to the Obama administration and those that support it when it helps their ideology and their cause. Otherwise, it should be ignored. We see it again and again."
And he is a black pastor.
That's right. This president has demonstrated such a callous disregard for human life, Jackson continues. It's almost unfathomable to me, but of course, it's in keeping with his record. He opposed the Born Alive Infant Protection Act, what we were just talking about in the last segment.
Yes.
And that was nothing but infanticide, and he supported that. It doesn't surprise me, but still is unbelievable that a president could think that way. The call to remove Sanger's bust comes following the release of multiple undercover investigative videos produced by the Center for Medical Progress, in which top Planned Parenthood medical officials explain the harvesting of the body parts of aborted babies for potential sale to biomedical companies. Ryan Baumberger, Chief Creative Officer for the Radiance Foundation, is supporting ministers take a stand. In a statement to Breitbart News, Baumberger said, "Museums educate the public about history. The NPG, however, wants to create a dangerous and fictionalized version of it. Planned Parenthood was born in eugenic racism and elitism, and Margaret Sanger was the mother who gave birth to the world's largest abortion chain. In the city where Planned Parenthood began, more black babies are aborted than born alive, according to the New York Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. This is not the result of justice. It's the result of animus." Regarding the notion that the institutional left upholds Planned Parenthood, founded by a racist yet cites racism as the downfall of the United States, Baumberger said, "Liberals find racism in every institution of American life, except in the one industry that kills for a living. Abortion is the number one killer in the black community. 363,705 abortions versus 285,522 deaths from all causes of death combined. Yet the propagandistic and hypocritical Black Lives Matter movement leadership stands with Planned Parenthood, proving that only some Black lives matter." Presidential candidate and retired pediatric neurosurgeon Dr. Ben Carson said Wednesday that Planned Parenthood puts most of their clinics in black neighborhoods so they can control that population. Appearing with Fox News Channel's Neil Cavuto, Carson, an African-American, said, "I think people should go back and read about Margaret Sanger, who founded this place, a woman who Hillary Clinton, by the way, says she admires. Look and see what many people in Nazi Germany thought about her." Dr. Elizabeth Lee Vliet of the Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, AAPS, quotes Sanger, "Colored people are like human weeds and are to be exterminated. Slaves, Latin and Hebrew immigrants are a dead weight of human waste. Blacks, soldiers, and Jews are a menace to the human race." Sanger's legacy of Planned Parenthood has cost the lives of over 57 million babies since 1973. With over 13 million of them African American babies. Fleet continues, "That makes Planned Parenthood the leader in black genocide. Over 80% of Planned Parenthood abortions are either black or Hispanic babies."
Let's stop and talk about that for a minute. 57 million babies since Roe v. Wade in 1973.
That's right.
I want you to think about that for a minute and think about the benefit that this world has lost.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The talent.
That's right. In that group of 57 million babies who were snuffed out in the womb, and in some cases outside of the womb,
right,
were people that would have become doctors, leaders, scientists, researchers,
teachers,
artists, teachers, ministers, and on and on and on. 57 million people.
That's the population. That's a population that's larger than some countries.
Than many countries.
Yes.
And we have just killed and thrown those children away or sold their body parts.
Mm.